So every time Tony Ferguson now is on a card, it's ironic because when Tony was in his prime years, like when the big three at 155 were Tony Ferguson, Conor McGregor, and Khabib Nurmagomedov, I was definitely Team Tony. And to see a prime Tony Ferguson take on Khabib Nurmagomedov would have at least been a fight to watch. I don't think he would have beaten Khabib, but he definitely was the one guy that a lot of people wanted to see fight, and we never got that. I honestly feel like we were thrown into an alternate timeline where the worst case scenario happened. He fights Justin Gaethje, gets broken down, and we all know the story. He was never the same after that. I think the Oliveira fight was very telling. The Dariush beatdown was very telling. He came back for Chandler and then got clipped in the second round. It just, that guy is a perfect example of why you don't be a company man, why you don't say yes to everything, because you will eventually be used up by this company. And he obviously is signing up. But instead of giving him Nick Diaz, which honestly, with Nick Diaz and his visa issues, the fight wouldn't have happened to begin with. So he's fighting Michael Chiesa. I would say that Paddy Pimblett, although he's better than a lot of people are letting on to be, is Michael Chiesa really a step down? I mean, it just kind of seems right now that Tony Ferguson, I don't know why he keeps going in there. And the ironic part is, if you tell this to the Tony fan base, the denial is very real. And I'm not even joking anymore. Like, I get a lot of, just pathological comments from Tony fans whenever I make a Tony Ferguson video, because they always think that this is going to be the one. And you know what? Maybe it is. But I don't see it. I think after Tony Ferguson fought Paddy Pimblett, I think it was a pretty telling sign that he should probably think about hanging it up. And if you understand Tony as a person, I don't, but I have a buddy who trained with one of his former striking coaches, and this is just what I heard. Tony's not the guy that you can sway to change his mind. Once he's made up his mind, it's up. And I understand where Tony's coming from, especially for all he's put in. But I think he's overlooking how much he's gained from the UFC and that he's still beloved by the fans. And this is the thing, is it's just kind of sad to watch him handle on that fight card every time. Because he just keeps going on there and coming back for more. And it's just, after that Michael Chandler fight, I think that was the end of it. I thought that he had a chance with Nate Diaz because Nate Diaz wasn't even dialed in, but a non-dialed in Nate Diaz was able to beat Tony Ferguson. And it's sad because that guy had so much going for him in the days coming up. Before Justin Gaethje, he was one of the guys, one of the original ones, and there's not much else to say. Do I think he can beat Michael Chiesa? My heart hopes he gets a win, gets his hand raised, goes to retirement, rides off into the sunset. That's the best case scenario every time, but we've been saying that for how many fights now? To where my mind's saying, you know what, it's not going along with your heart. But I really hope my heart's right and my mind's wrong. But I would honestly have to say, just because I know Tony's going up to 170 again, the fact that he's not cutting as much weight is already showing what the UFC's having in mind for him. And if he loses this fight and they choose to release him, I think that that's probably the best case scenario for his own safety. Save him a little bit from himself at this point. And that's the thing. A lot of fighters, once they live in that octagon and they fight in that octagon, they don't want to leave that octagon. And that's also what Tony's going through right now. And it's sad. Although Paddy did say, and I do agree, he should go on his own terms. He deserves that. I think that also can be, sometimes we could be our own worst enemy in cases. So I really just hope Tony Ferguson does what's best for his health at the end of the day. And if he loses this one and it's over, I think they got to call it, unless the UFC has another contract in line. Because if that's the case, how everyone's saying Tony's the type of guy to match his losing streak with his winning streak. I think they're manifesting that into reality. And I say this as a diehard Tony fan. It's just crazy how the tides have turned. Time changes everything. But we'll see where this goes. It's such a lose-lose scenario whenever I make a Tony Ferguson video because no one wants to look at the writing on the wall. But peace out.